There's an old quote that says everything rises and falls on leadership, and I absolutely believe that's true. Hi, welcome. My name is Tim Milner, and I love leadership. I'm passionate about this. I've been a student of leadership for a long time, and today I'm excited to start sharing with you some of the things I've learned. I think for many of us, we go through life and it's more difficult than it needs to be because we're always reacting to everything around us. I'll take it one step further. I believe many of the problems that you're facing in your, whether it be at work, at home, at school, your personal life, in your community, we could alleviate a lot of the problems that we are experiencing if we would learn to lead effectively. And today you're going to learn how to do that. So let's jump right in, and let's start off by defining leadership. Leadership is intentionally influencing someone or something. Let me say that one more time. Leadership is intentionally influencing someone or something. Now, let me explain what we mean by this. Intentionally. Leadership is not passive. Leadership is not being overly reactive. Leadership is all about intentionality. We are mindful, we're thoughtful in how we act. When we talk about influencing, influencing is guiding something. It's making an impact on someone or something. So when we say leadership is intentionally influencing, we're actively guiding something. Now, the second half is someone or something. Now, when we talk about leading someone, most of us, we already understand that. We understand that leadership is about leading oneself or leading a team or leading an organization full of people. We get that. But let's talk about how we can lead something. Many of the things that we can intentionally influence are actually not people, but rather processes, procedures, or even culture. So while a process where you work is not an individual, it is something that you can lead by influencing intentionally that process. Let me give a for instance. Imagine where you work, there's a weekly staff meeting. And let's just say that you believe that you could probably use that time more wisely. So you decide that you're going to intentionally influence the weekly staff meeting by coming up with a written down agenda. So whenever you go to the staff meeting, everybody has the agenda in writing. Now, if you do that, you're going to start seeing that that weekly staff meeting becomes a lot more effective and more useful, and people will leave thinking that was a better use of time. Now, in this instance, you have intentionally influenced not a person, but rather a thing, the staff meeting. Now, by impacting that staff meeting, through that, you're going to be influencing and helping a lot of people. So, again, leadership is intentionally influencing someone or something. Now, when we talk about leadership in this course, we're going to primarily talk about leadership as a verb. If you're talking to people at work about leadership, they may think of it as a noun, that it's a position of leadership, the boss, the supervisor, the principal, the teacher, the captain. But when we talk about it, we're really going to talk about leadership as a verb. Again, intentionally influencing. These are verbs. Now, as a verb, leadership is something that we all do. You influence, we all influence someone or something. Now, we may not be doing it well. There may be a lot of low-hanging fruit. There may be a lot of need for improvement, and this course is going to help you with that. Now, when we think about leadership as a verb, again, this is something that you can do, and everybody can do it. In fact, you already are. Now, as I have discovered that if you spend enough time doing leadership as a verb, it will probably only be a matter of time before you actually receive positions of leadership, a noun. So if you go to work, if you're school, leading in your community, if you do that well, if you do it long enough, if you're intentionally influencing people and things, it's only a matter of time before somebody invites you into actually leadership as a noun. Now, as we're talking about leadership in this course, you're going to learn some really powerful things. You're going to learn tools, principles, skills that are powerful and that can change, it can change you, it can change the world around you. And I just want to give a really important disclaimer that leadership is all about service. Leadership is about helping others. If you think about the ways that people have helped change the world for the better in the past, you'll see an effective leader, somebody who was leading effectively, and the world became a better place. But you can also think back in history, and there are people who use these powerful principles of leadership for their own purposes, and it was actually quite destructive. And so I know nobody picked up this course with some sort of sinister motivation, but I just want to be really clear on the front end that these powerful tools, these powerful skills and principles that you're going to learn should be used as service to others. This is not us trying to, just get everything for ourselves. This is us about trying to help others. This is about us trying to make the world around us a better place. So that is what leadership is. It's service. Leadership is intentionally influencing someone or something. Leadership is a verb, and leadership is something that we're all doing already, and now we're going to learn how to do it more effectively. Now, before we finish up this first module, I want to talk about 5 models of leadership, and everybody who leads is in one of these 5 models. So as we go through these models, I want you to be asking the question, have you ever worked with somebody like this? All right, the first module is called laissez-faire. Laissez-faire leadership. Laissez-faire leadership is somebody who basically just is hands off. They are somebody who tries not to get involved. It's somebody who may identify themselves as being kind of laid back and loose. Well, all the studies, academic studies, studies by professional groups that test and survey leadership and its effectiveness in the workforce, they all point to the same thing. Laissez-faire is an ineffective model for leadership. In fact, the studies would even conclude that it would just be better if a laissez-faire leader just didn't show up. It would be better if a laissez-faire leader actually would just give up their position and let somebody else who really cares actually step into that leadership position. So if you've ever worked with a laissez-faire leader before, you know that there were problems and nobody was doing anything about it. There were opportunities, there was even low-hanging fruit for the team or the organization to get better, and the leader refused to act on it. Laissez-faire leadership, bad news. If you've worked with somebody who's a laissez-faire leader, you know it's bad. And if you are a laissez-faire leader, well, I've got good news for you. There's a low-hanging fruit for you to become a better leader immediately. The second model of leadership is called management by exception passive. Management or leadership by exception, that is passive, means that this leader only gets involved when they absolutely have to. Perhaps there's a big problem and they have to get involved. Maybe somebody keeps kind of nagging or complaining about an issue. Eventually, this leader breaks down and goes and handles it, or this leader is threatened to be removed from their position of leadership if they don't handle it. So they find some motivation and they finally handle this exception, this problem. We know from studies that this form of leadership is also ineffective. It would be better that those who lead by exception passively, it'd be better if they just didn't show up or if they would step aside so that a leader who cares could rise up. The third model of leadership is actually leadership by exception, active. Now, this leader actually seeks out issues. This leader seeks out things that are not going according to plan. This leader seeks out problems or opportunities. They seek these things out by having regular staff meetings or one-on-one. If you've ever worked with a leader by exception active, they would meet with you. There was a number of things that may not be quite right, but they were at least actively looking for problems and trying to solve it. Academia and those who study this tell us that this form of leadership is okay. It really doesn't make the team much better, but it doesn't necessarily make the team worse either. The fourth model of leadership is called transactional leadership. Now, transactional leadership has actually been proven to be helpful. A transactional leader is one who does this. If you do this, then I will reward you with this. If you don't do this, then I will hold you accountable in this way. A transactional leader is clear. A transactional leader is clear on what is expected of those that are on their team. If you act in one way, you can get a very reliable response. If you don't do something, again, you'll get a reliable response. People who work with a transactional leader typically know what is expected of them. And again, we know from studies, and we know even if you've served with somebody like this, that these people actually are pretty good leaders. They're consistent, they're predictable in a good way, and they come across as being fair. But the fifth and best, most effective form of leadership is called transformational leadership. And this form of leadership has been proven to be effective in the real world. In fact, if you start doing these characteristics and behaviors consistent with somebody who is a transformational leader, you will absolutely be a better leader. So, what's a transformational leader? A transformational leader is someone who does what a transactional leader does. They're fair, they're consistent, they're predictable in a good way, and people know what's expected of them. Plus, so that's a transactional leader. A transformational leader does all that plus 4 key behaviors. Now, we will go into all 4 of these key behaviors in future videos, but for this first module, let me tell you what those 4 transformational behaviors are. The first one is behaviors consistent with becoming a leader that people want to follow. We would call this idealized influence. They are the ideal leader. If you think of a great leader, maybe a name comes to your mind. There were characteristics or behaviors that leader did that made you want to follow them. And all transformational, all effective leaders have that. They are in many ways an ideal leader. The second set of behaviors is that they inspire their team. The third key thing in becoming a transformational leader is that they make their team better. They intellectually stimulate their team. They give new ways of thinking through problems and new ways of thinking through how to capture opportunities. And then the fourth key component of becoming an effective leader is that we don't leave people on our team behind. We see the team for what it is, but we also see that every team is simply made up of individuals. So if you want to be an effective leader in a way that is truly impactful, a way that is not just, it claims to be effective, but if you want to be an effective leader in a way that's been proven to be effective, we must become a transformational leader. We must, again, be the leader people want to follow. We must inspire our team. We must make our team better. And we must care for and help the people, individuals on our team. Let me tell you the first step in becoming a more effective leader today. Throughout this course, you're going to need to have an open mind. Be teachable. Perhaps you're taking this course because you're hungry to grow. Or perhaps you're taking this course because somebody on your team asked you to take it or even required you to take it. Well, what I'm asking you to do is to be teachable. Don't fool yourself to think that you have all the answers already. Be teachable. The next key is to listen. If you're watching this on your computer, it would be easy to get distracted. Maybe you're multitasking by handling emails or surfing the internet. I'm going to encourage you to stop that. If you do those things while listening to this video, this will be a waste of time. I encourage you to really focus and to listen. To help you to focus and listen, there is an included digital booklet. Follow along in the booklet, either in a digitized format or print it off and take notes as we go through this material. The next way to get the most out of this is to internalize what you learn. We're going to go through a lot of material, and it's going to be difficult for you to remember all of the important things that we cover. But you need to remember it long term. And so I would encourage you to internalize it. One of the best ways you can internalize this material is to take lots of notes. At the end of each module, find some quiet time and review the notes and begin internalizing what it's going to look like for you to begin these characteristics and behaviors and apply these skills and principles immediately. And then finally, if you want the most out of this course, and your first step in becoming a more effective leader is to apply what you learn. Simply having the knowledge is only worth so much. We've got to put into action the things you're learning. So as you listen, as you internalize, go ahead and start putting on your calendar when you're going to start applying some of these skills, tools, behaviors. You're going to get a lot of information in this course. And so again, please internalize it. Take notes. I'll close this first module by sharing a true story. One of my very first jobs, I had a great leader as a boss, and he would tell me lots of important things. And one particular day, I had forgotten something else, something he had told me. And so he came up to me, he looked me in the eye, and he said, "Tim, a short pencil has a long memory." Friends, what we're going to learn in this course, it's valuable. This stuff's powerful. It can help you become the leader you want to be. It'll help you become the leader your team needs you to be. But if we forget it, it's not worth much. So take notes, internalize this stuff, apply it, and I can't wait to see you become a better leader. I'll see you in the next module.